right, so we are 2 days removed from Jose Ramirez versus Viktor Postol. Ramirez won a majority decision. It was the first fight for both guys in over a year. Uh, Ramirez's first fight since winning the title over a year ago against Maurice Hooker. In a pretty dramatic and sudden fashion, he scored a knockout. I believe it was in the 9th round against Hooker, and it was a pretty close fight up to that point. Postol is, of course, most famous for stopping Lucas Matisse about 3 or 4 years ago. Matisse, up to that point, had been kind of a granite-type fighter, tough as nails, hadn't been stopped, had suffered a few close losses mostly, and he had Danny Garcia had beat him about a year prior to that fight. I was the first guy to cleanly beat him, and then Postol was the first guy to stop him, and kind of signaled the end of Matisse's career. But Postol, kind of a savvy boxer, slick guy. He was expected to be a test for Ramirez, but at the same time, at 36 years old, he was supposed to be a guy Ramirez got through. He was expected to get through. And, Ramirez, a lot of people, it's one of those fights where you have a younger guy who's kind of on the rise against an older guy. People are expecting something spectacular because, that's how people are. They want to see knockouts and, power shots and everything. And sometimes you have to give a guy credit. Postol was a very crafty, cagey guy, very good defensively. He was using his legs. He wasn't moving like a 36-year-old. He was moving like a young guy. And, he did a good job. And he wasn't there just to survive. He landed a lot of punches. He was taking it to Ramirez at times. Ramirez ultimately was the one, inflicting the damage. Landed quite a number of power punches. In the 7th round in particular, landed a big left hook that, staggered Postol, had Postol moving around the ring. But again, a very cagey guy, Postol, and he was able to hang in there, won quite a few rounds. I wasn't scoring the fight. Because early on, to me, it looked like Ramirez was gonna get him out of there. Ramirez came out very aggressive. Now, I will say he was maybe a little too aggressive, kind of winging his shots early. And I think his trainer, Robert Garcia, probably mentioned that to him because he seemed to calm down. He was boxing a little more. And then later in the fight, he was getting aggressive again. And really, he was doing his best work when he was aggressive. But he, needed to be a little more composed in there. Early on, he was missing some wild shots. So it was, looked like he might gas himself out. But he must have got some good instructions from his corner because he kind of mellowed out. Boxed more. In the 7th round, like I said, he landed a big left hook, which hurt Postol. Landed some big punches throughout the fight. But, the 7th round, that was the big shot. A lot of people now, I think, are kind of looking at Ramirez like, oh, maybe he's not what we thought he was. But I think the opposite. I think it was an impressive victory for him. Again, Postol, very, very crafty guy, veteran guy. And, he's been around. He's only lost to, Josh Taylor at 140 and Terrence Crawford. And, of course, those are two of the better fighters at 140, 147 in the world right now. Terrence Crawford, arguably pound for pound, the best fighter. Taylor, probably the top dog at 140 right now. They're talking about a unification with Jose Ramirez. That would be a very interesting fight. I would say probably be a pick'em fight. Be very interesting. Ramirez mentioned that he would be interested in moving up to fight Terrence Crawford. That he's maybe a little green for Crawford, but at the same time, these are two top-ranked guys. Crawford, his only other options are guys fighting for the PBC at 147, and not going to hold our breath that any of those fights happen. So I think it could be a fight that's on the horizon in the next year or so. But like I said, it's a good fight. Ramirez, I was impressed. He said he felt a little rusty in there. To me, he looked pretty good though. He looked a little over aggressive at times. I will say his defense needs some work because he was getting hit with a lot of jabs from Postol. Postol was a bigger puncher. He could have done to Ramirez what he did to Matisse, but Ramirez was a young guy. Got a solid chin. But the thing with guys with solid chins is they can only take so much. They might start cracking after a while. You just chip away and chip away and chip away. Eventually, the chin's going to give. So we'll see, though. It was a very impressive victory, I thought. We'll see what's up next. We'll see if the Josh Taylor fight happens. And I think Postol is in a position to get himself another matchup against a big name guy. So we'll see what's next for both guys.